This phone is absolutely bonkers, not only for its crazy specs that you see on paper, but how much you can actually do with this device. It's down from £1,600 to just $600 right now, which given just how much phone you're getting is actually wild, and someone needs to talk about it, so that's what I'm doing right now. Triple cameras with a properly big set of sensors, all day battery life with 67 watt top up speed, 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gig minimum storage, 2 incredible 120Hz AMOLED screens, and software that just gets the best out of them. I am of course talking about the OnePlus Open. Yeah, these things are £1,000 off on the second-hand market, which is absolutely wild. You're getting so much phone for your money here, whether you're a super sweaty gamer, a productivity aficionado, or simply someone who just wants more of everything: storage, screens, software. Plus, alongside those more obvious benefits, you're actually getting a load of little bonus things chucked in here too. This is the time to get into a foldable, when the prices that you're paying are much closer to what you'd normally pay for like a traditional slab phone. So let's dive right into this after a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by CyberGhost VPN. With over 38 million users worldwide and over 20,000 excellent reviews on Trustpilot, it's one of the best VPNs out there. Keeping your internet browsing private is something that should be pretty important in the age of constant data scraping. Whether you're browsing at home or on public Wi-Fi, bad actors are going to be bad actors. And that's where CyberGhost VPN comes in. Simply select one of their over 100 locations before you browse to encrypt and reroute all of your traffic through their secure servers. This way, no one will even know about your online activity. CyberGhost also unlocks geo-restricted games and content from over 40 streaming platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime and Disney+, and you can even score better deals online by simply changing your virtual location. And since it works on up to 7 concurrent devices, you can load it up on your phone, tablet, computer, even smart TV device, perfect for sharing with friends and family. With our link in the description, you can get their best deal ever, just $2.03 a month plus 4 months for free, which is 84% off. There's even a 45-day money back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Anyway, back to the video. It's kind of hard to know where to start with this phone, but let's go straight into the best bit first, the display setup. The outside screen is actually really usable, and now I know this isn't the most groundbreaking opinion, but I just think that a wider outside display makes for a nicer user experience. You know, things like typing and gaming, when you don't actually want to open up to the big display, you're not locked into a tight letterbox on the outside. It means that you don't have to use the internal panel if you don't want to. Now, the outside screen is between Full HD and Quad HD at 120Hz too, so it's not like you're giving up any major functionality by going with the outer display for certain tasks, and people are going to love it's totally flat as well. And OnePlus's, at least up until the 13, are not totally flat, so that is a bonus. No in-display fingerprint scanner here, but it is on the side in a capacitive format, and that's actually something I really like. Ultrasonic setups in more recent phones have been getting better, so maybe we'll see something like that in a follow-up. But I think having it on the side, part of the lock button, is actually a really good experience. Now, when you open up this phone, things get even better. This is one of the best setups, in my opinion, for a large foldable internal panel. The anti-glare coating is superb. The camera being up in the corner keeps it out of the way, but it also means that because it's not an in-display one, the quality is still pretty decent. The hinge and the crease feel ever so high-end, even still after a few years. Very luxurious. It's still a 120Hz LTPO3 Super AMOLED, like that outer display, but of course, just much squarer. It's about 2.3K by 2.5K in resolution, so really sharp, despite the fact it's almost 8 inches corner to corner. There's a lot of display to play with here. Now, I found over the last few years playing with foldables that one of the big differentiating factors between people who really get the most out of foldables and those who don't is how this bigger screen is going to be behaving with certain applications, because it's square. It's not just like having a much bigger phone screen. It's a different aspect ratio. And so depending on what you're doing on your phone, you might run into apps that are much more compatible with this kind of different scaling than others. For example, double window multitasking is great because when you open it up, it is literally like having 2 screens. So most apps scale absolutely perfectly here. And you can even run a third window and easily switch between it. It's very intuitive with OnePlus's software. And a lot of games do scale quite well to these square displays because they've been around for a while. They let you see more of what you want and push the controls right into the corners, so you get to see more of the action. But there are also games that don't quite work, and UI items that are in the wrong place, or the way the camera works, it just doesn't make the most of the screen real estate. And this is going to depend on which apps you use. Certain games, there are apps that also just don't scale perfectly well to the square displays. Foldables from makers like Samsung, Google and Honor have popularized the format, and so a lot of the kinks have been ironed out since when this phone first came out a couple of years ago. And for those who love playing games or using their phones for more than just doom scrolling, this internal panel is just fantastic. But the Open is far more than just about those screens. The cameras are also brilliant. This is around the time where Samsung was still putting sort of subpar cheaper sensors into its very expensive foldables. OnePlus bucked that trend by including actually flagship level optics in its Open, and we still get to see the fruits of that labour today. These are almost identical sensors to what we had in the OnePlus 12, and you guys know I kind of just built the second half of my subscriber base on talking about the OnePlus 12. So yeah, I really like the cameras in here. They're actually bigger sensors than what we have in the OnePlus 13. That big old camera bump is not just for show, there is some serious power behind it. Big sensors for the 3x, the 1x and the ultra wide, combined with Hasselblad's colour tuning, which has since sadly been canned for the upcoming 15, mean that photos that you take with the Open are as sharp and as detailed as they are just really natural and nice to look at. Not every colour has been turned up to 12, there's still a lovely amount of contrast with colour tonality to go with. Really decent dynamic range and sharpness as you'd kind of expect from any smartphone camera over the past few years. Sure, there are moments where the camera system doesn't fully get it right and you can start to see cracks, but that's basically every single smartphone camera system ever, so yeah. And the video shot with the OnePlus phones of this era are weirdly soft. That has not gone away with the Open. I also don't know if there's a definite requirement for people who are sort of cross-shopping OnePlus Opens and Samsung Foldables with people who want really good smartphone cameras in their smartphone. If that's you though, let me know in the comment section. Sure, you can buy phones that do both more in hardware and with software tools in regards to the camera, but honestly, I'd be happy with this phone's cameras in any phone in 2025. I think this might be the golden era of OnePlus and we might not ever get it back. The alert slider, for example, no longer a thing in new phones, which is a massive shame. I was always a fan of the alert slider since my first experience with it in the OnePlus 3 all the way through to the 13. A customizable button, which is what they've replaced it with, might be a bit more accessible or appreciated by more people, but it just isn't the same for me. That might be a personal gripe though, so let me know in the comments what you think. OnePlus has confirmed the Open will be getting Android 16 in November, which is fantastic. It launched with Android 13, so seeing this continued support going forward into the future, always a good thing, especially for a phone that cost this much when it first launched. And the hardware in here, which certainly isn't the pinnacle, is certainly still very good. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 is 3 generations behind now, but as you can see in the footage, it's still able to play a lot of good games, even on the big internal panel, which is of course high resolution, much harder to drive. Sure, you will feel hiccups, that's just going to happen on a phone of this age, but the chip is generously helped out by the 16 gigs of RAM, like there's no 12 gig option, you get 16 in every SKU, and either 512 gig or 1 terabyte of UFS 4.0 storage. With those kinds of specifications and the fact that this is still performing so well a couple of years down the line, I would expect this phone to be still good for another couple of years, to be honest, before it even takes a turn. And even then, there's no guarantee of this thing slowing down. I mean, there are people out there that still run like Pixel 5s and OnePlus 6s, so I wouldn't overthink it when it comes to the performance. And the battery life, sure, isn't as good as it was. It's only a 4,800 mAh battery, but at the same time, I also still get a day out of it, so it's not all bad. And the 67 watt charging is really snappy too. It tops up really quickly. There's no wireless charging on this model, which is a bit of a shame. Maybe they'll put that in the next one. Because unfortunately, OnePlus delayed or cancelled the Open 2 this year, 2025. But it looks like there could be a new model coming in like 2026 or 2027. I'd love to see wireless charging, faster wire top-ups, Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 or Gen 6 or whatever on at that stage. And even a brighter screen would be really nice on both sides. These are bright displays, but screens have got ridiculously bright recently. Perhaps a silicon carbon battery would really help this phone out. 6,000 plus milliamp hours in a foldable. They've managed to get 7,000 milliamp hours plus in the OnePlus 15s, right? So you can imagine there's probably a lot of growing room to do with the OnePlus Open. The OnePlus Open is an absolute steal right now. At £1,000 off its original retail price, it sits around the same price as something like a Pixel 10 base model. And given just how much phone you get for your money here, this is nothing to scoff at whatsoever. And be sure to check out the link in the video description and the pinned comment to CyberGhost's great deals right now.